So yeah, thanks so much for having me. My name is Elliot White. Yeah, like Johannes said, I'm a service design lead here at Song Design, the kind of design wing of Accenture. I'm trained as an architect and I'm a DGNB certified consultant. So I'm really passionate about decarbonizing the built environment, bringing more people together around new technology solutions. And I think that's what we want to talk about here today with the Switch project and the kind of the fabric of the city. So we at Accenture have been working with the World Business Council for Sustainable Development, the WBCSD, on a project called Switch that helps us combine digital technologies across the built environment, mobility, and energy generation. And just so we kind of understand a bit of the context here, we're talking about businesses, we're talking about decarbonizing, we're talking about the fabric of the city, right? And we know a lot of businesses, a lot of big businesses have started to make big gains on decarbonization, usually on their scope 1 and 2. These PPAs, power purchase agreements for renewable power are easier to implement than some of the site-specific decarbonization solutions. So these low-hanging fruits have quick wins, have for the most part been taken, been done. And so now the abatement cost of moving to a electrified economy are growing. And so companies need to balance how they decide to invest and with the emission targets. And so we set out to ask, how might we help the private sector accelerate this operational decarbonization? Yeah, perfect. So I'm here to talk, again, about the Switch project, which is really trying to unlock the exponential potential of approaching decarbonization across these three silos: building, transport, and energy. And we're thinking about individual sites, so manufacturing facilities, offices, retail complexes, really the fabric of the city, and how private companies can contribute to an urban transformation. And we'll get into a little bit of what happens when companies do make these electrified transitions. It puts them in a place to have a lot more services, opportunities to offer the city. So what do I mean when I'm talking about a decarbonization solution? We'll just look at a very small example here. And when we talk about this in an integrated approach. So if we think about a building, we can insulate that, we can add heat pumps to increase the heating and cooling efficiency of that building. I think this is going to become a huge topic in Germany specifically, where we're looking to get off gas and coal, gas as fast as possible. And so the ability to install these heat pumps and the ability to insulate buildings quickly has taken on a new importance, I think, in the last year or so. So when we're thinking about doing that, and maybe in your business you already have the street torn up to take out that gas line or install some electrical for the heat pump, why not add an EV, the capability to charge EVs? So really future-proofing your asset, your site, for electrified vehicles, for an electrified fleet, which then offers a whole host of other options. And then while you're at it, why not add some solar on the site and maybe a big battery, so you can store that energy. Potentially we sell it back to the grid, depending on the location, right? So what we're seeking to do here with the Switch project is all of these combinations are very complex, right? And so we want to make it more usable, more user-friendly. And so really widening the pool of people who can make climate-related decisions, sustainability-related decisions. And it's increasingly becoming financially motivated, because we see the exponential case here of applying these solutions together. And the savings are getting to the point, especially with digital optimization of all of this, that it's financially hard to argue against doing it. So we see, 70% energy cost savings after installing a microgrid on the specific sites. 40% cost savings by retrofitting a building, like replacing windows. It can be very simple, but it really adds up quickly. I think we're talking about a lot of high-tech things, a lot of digital things. So when we're thinking about smart HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, controlling that in a digital way can save us up to 37% energy savings. And then when we're thinking about smart EVs, smart charging, 21% peak load savings, I think this matters a lot to grid operators, to cities who need to supply the power to everyone to keep the economy going. And, again, with smart charging, 32% cost savings when you control the time that the charging is happening. And so with the Switch project, we're really trying to bring together different partners from across the WBCSD network, which is over 200 companies, very large. And in doing so, we've done a lot of research. So we're bringing together knowledge, networks, and tools to help companies maximize impact, maximize value through these decarbonization solutions. One of the things that we noticed in our research with a lot of these big companies is that a large company's scope 3 are smaller suppliers, scope 1 and 2. So anytime a large company is contracting a smaller company, the operational emissions of those smaller companies are counting scope 3 of the big company. But what we realize is that a lot of smaller companies don't have the resources to dedicate to thinking about what is the best way to decarbonize? What's the best way to electrify? Should I be ready for an electrified fleet? And so we see these energy management, mobility, built environment, all approached in a very siloed way, separate way. And so we're missing out on that exponential gain that we've discovered or are trying to prove and publicize here with the Switch project. So one of the things that we're trying to show is the options and benefits of combining all these solutions. And so when we look at our solution hypothesis, we're thinking about private sector decarbonization, combining these 3 silos, of course, with digital optimization. But that extends out into, because companies exist in the city, that extends out into the city of more services that can be supplied to the city. So the core services of the urban fabric, energy security, reducing peak demand, frees up energy resources for others. EV charging everywhere makes EV fleets more realistic to be using in everyday use, and then extending to the life of citizens of the city. So the faster we get diesel cars off the road, the better air quality is going to be. I mean, same with coal if in the region of a coal plant. But we can think of new revenue streams that companies can create as well. There's an example that we used that we're publicizing in the Switch project that's looking at it's from the States, so it might be a bit different here in Germany, but looking at school buses, and when you electrify a fleet of school buses in America, at least, those buses aren't being used except for pickup and drop-off time. And so there are giant batteries in these buses that can be used for other services. So they're providing peak shaving services for the grid when they're not being used. And so I think this ability to utilize all the resources that we're putting in place, because we're connecting them. We're bringing real IoT to life, is what we want to highlight here, that it is possible. You can take a lot of advantage from this, and that companies, if they don't have the resources, could pursue them through our solutions here. So also in our research, we found that there is a lot of funding that's available. And counterintuitively, a lot of the companies that are willing to do the funding are looking for bigger projects, actually, reducing the risk of individual new technologies failing. And so I think it takes a mindset shift for people planning these projects to think about how we can structure a bigger project. Usually the lower the project size dictates the risk. So a bigger project, the more risk. And here we're finding the converse true. Yeah, I think the implementation of all these electrified resources can really help us grow the urban communities, but also maybe has an angle of providing new jobs, new green energy jobs around providing all these services. And so knowing how to go vehicle to grid or vehicle to building, how to hook that up, how to utilize that is a whole new category of jobs that I think we haven't even scratched the surface of yet. So with our Switch project, we're taking all this knowledge, trying to combine them in these three sectors. And what we're trying to do in the end here is democratize the energy decision-making. So we're building a tool. Right now, this is a prototype that we've created. But basically, we want to allow people to quickly assess the range of possibilities that are open to them. And so we have a few questions. We're trying to keep it as short as possible, maybe 5 to 8 questions. To understand, to give users a rough but plausible pathway to net zero. And then when they have that data with some rough calculations of energy savings, energy cost savings, carbon savings, they can then go to the detailed planning. So it's a really quick and hopefully easy to use way to understand how to implement solutions together and what solutions are available to you. So as we go through, as a user goes through, they enter some site data, and then maybe we make a suggestion of technologies that are available to them, or maybe they know some already. But here we can easily see that, okay, I have solar on site already, great. It's on my big flat roof of my warehouse. But what about adding a heat pump? So we can see in the cost savings calculator, the solar PV has a somewhat good return on investment, and the decarbonization impact is also pretty good. But when we combine that with heat pumps and we use digitally optimize again the energy from the solar to run the heat pump when we can, we see that curve go exponential, and that's what we want to highlight in a really easy to use way. Again, to make this available to more people. So in the end, we can get to results that hopefully we can, anybody using this can export, take to their CFO and say, hey, we have a reasonable pathway to save a lot of money, to save a lot of carbon. Can you give us the funding to take this further, to do the detailed planning that would then lead to implementation? Yeah, so that's where we are right now. I think I'm moving a little fast today, but thank you very much for being here. But I'm happy to take any questions that might have come up in the audience while we're here. Thanks.